let's study ABB and ABG. Now the four important components which are obtained from ABG are pH, which is equal to 7.35 to 7.45, PaO2, that is partial pressure of oxygen in arteries, which ranges from 60 mmHg to 100 mmHg, PaCO2, partial pressure of carbon dioxide, which ranges from 35 to 45 mmHg, and the last and the important component is bicarb, which ranges from 22 to 26 milliequivalents per liter. Now let's go ahead. Now one of the important thing here is the pH. The pH, it is a most sensitive parameter. Why? Because at optimum pH our enzymes works, and as you all know, 99.99% activities in our body, the metabolic reactions are governed by enzymes. Hence any change in this pH leads to the enzymatic changes, and enzymatic changes results in metabolic derangements. Hence it is very important to keep the pH under control. Hence the body has developed various mechanisms to control this, and it is called as acid-base balance. Let's see them. There are basically four mechanisms that we will be studying. The first mechanism is, that is, as you all know, the blood buffers. The blood buffer are the foremost mechanism, and the blood buffer, the most important blood buffer is the bicarb. Actually, the bicarb resists any change in pH even if the acid or base are added. Now the second is the lungs. The lungs are basically the acute acid-base balancer. You should remember here that lungs, basically what they do, they control the respiratory rate and indirectly eliminate the carbon dioxide from the blood, resulting into either increase or decrease in the pH. Now the third and the most major mechanism of controlling the acid-base balance are the kidneys. The kidneys are the major regulator, and we can say they are basically the fine tuners. The fourth mechanism is at the cell. Suppose this is a cell, and here is the blood vessel, and this is a channel which we all know, that name is potassium hydrogen exchanger. Now what happens is, when the level of hydrogen increases in the blood, what cell plays, cell tries to compensate it by taking the hydrogen and in return giving potassium ion. Now this is at the cell level. Now let's go ahead and see what are the pH changes causes. The change in pH causes the two important phenomena, that is acidosis and alkalosis. Acidosis is said when the pH is less than 7.35, and the alkalosis is said when the pH is more than 7.45. Now let's see the acidosis in detail. Acidosis. Acidosis are of two types: metabolic acidosis and respiratory acidosis. Now metabolic acidosis, as the name suggests, metabolism, considers of metabolism, and the metabolism deals with the blood. Thus the major buffering ion in the blood is, as we all know, bicarb. Hence in metabolic acidosis what occurs is there is decrease in bicarb due to accumulation of certain acidic agents, whereas in respiratory acidosis, as the name suggests, it is because of the respiration. Hence here the lungs are involved. Now as we have dealt earlier, that lungs basically controls the respiratory rate, and hence through which the CO2 is eliminated. Therefore if any pathology in the lungs or anything which is dealing with the respiratory rate causes CO2 retention or washout, So in acidosis there occurs CO2 retention. Because of the CO2 retention, as we know, CO2 is an acidic gas, hence the CO2 retention causes acidemia or the respiratory acidosis. Now let's see how to differentiate between the two, that is metabolic acidosis versus the respiratory acidosis. Now first we see what the ABG tells us. The ABG of the metabolic acidosis is the pH obviously will be less than 7.35. Here also the pH will be less than 7.35. Now as we have told, the primary pathology is the decrease in the bicarb. Now the bicarb level here will be less than 22, and here the primary pathology is in PaCO2, that is its retention, that is more than 45 mmHg. Now here in metabolic acidosis I have told you that the lungs here are the normal, and the lungs causes the acute acid base balancers, hence the lung tries to wash out the CO2 and tries to settle this metabolic acidosis. Basically the lungs try to compensate them, hence the PaCO2 here will be less than 35. So here you will note a pattern that pH is decreased, bicarb is decreased, and PaCO2 is also decreased. Hence this decrease in all the values is basically the hallmark of metabolic acidosis. Whereas in respiratory you can see that pH is decreased but the PaCO2 is increased. The sign of bicarb isn't matter here, hence it is in opposite direction. So we can write this same direction or equal direction. Here it is in opposite direction. What arrows? pH and PaCO2, pH and bicarb, and PaCO2. Now here we comes to a mnemonic. The mnemonic is ROME. That is, RO stands for respiratory opposite and ME stands for metabolic equal. It basically tells us about the signs of the arrow. If the sign of the arrow is in opposite direction, then it is respiratory alkalosis or respiratory acidosis, and if the sign is in equal direction, up or down, then it is metabolic cause. Let's go ahead and see the metabolic acidosis in detail. Now the metabolic acidosis again can be classified into two types. The first is basically what we called as HUGMA, and the second is NUGMA. Now what is HUGMA? HUGMA is basically high anion gap metabolic acidosis, whereas NUGMA is normal anion gap metabolic acidosis. Now what is anion gap? Now anion gap is defined as the difference between unmeasured anions minus the unmeasured cations. Basically, what are unmeasured anions? The unmeasured anions are ketones. These are the reason for because of which the metabolic acidosis has been taking place. The ketosis, lactate, phosphate, sulfates, and urates, and etc. Whereas unmeasured cations are potassium, calcium, etc. Now as we all know, if the name is unmeasured, hence we cannot measure them. Therefore for mathematical simplicity, what we have done, we have reversed this equation. After reversal, what we gain is the difference between measured cations minus measured anions. Hence, what are the measured cations? The measured cations are sodium. And what are the measured anions? Major measured cation is sodium. The major measured anions are chloride and the bicarb. You can understand with this with an example. Suppose the normal anion gap, let's take out the normal anionic gap value by putting the values. The normal value of sodium is, we all know it ranges from 135 to 145. So let's take the average value. What is the average value of chloride? It ranges from 100 to 110, that is 105. And the bicarb value, I told you, 22 to 26. Let's take the 24 value. Now let's take out the difference. 140 minus 105 plus 24, that is 140 minus 129, which come out to be 11. Hence the normal anionic gap is equal to 11. Therefore we can now differentiate as HGMA to be more than 12, the high anionic gap to be more than 12, and less than 12 to be normal anionic gap. Now let's see the causes of HGMA. Now the causes of HGMA can be divided into two. We can divide it like either increase of unmeasured anions, like we have told, anionic gap is equal to unmeasured anion minus unmeasured cations, hence increase in unmeasured anions, or decrease in unmeasured cations. Now what are the unmeasured anion? I have told you: urates, sulfates, phosphates, ketone bodies or lactates. Ketone bodies are seen in decay, lactate in sepsis, etc. Now the decrease in unmeasured cations are basically the potassium, the calcium. These are not much significant, not significant. Hence what we can conclude from here is that HGMA, or the high anion metabolic acidosis, is equal to basically the increase in unmeasured anions. It is very important. Hence if in a ABG we have been given as metabolic acidosis and there is an anionic gap difference, and then we should consider that it may be due to unmeasured anions increased, which can be ketones, lactates, phosphates, sulfates, urates, etc. Now let's come and focus on NAGMA. Now what is NAGMA? NAGMA is normal anionic gap, basically normal anionic gap metabolic acidosis. Now NAGMA, you can remember it as sodium minus chloride plus bicarb. Now for simplicity we can remember it, as we all know that in any acidosis the bicarb decreases, in any metabolic acidosis the bicarb decreases, and for NAGMA we can remember it to be as the bicarb decreases, also the sodium also decreases. Hence if both these value, if both cations and the anions decreases, hence the sum will be normal anionic gap, hence there will be no difference. Therefore here any condition causing both sodium and bicarb loss causes the normal anionic gap. Let's see these two conditions. These are GI and the renal. The GI condition are, as you have must guessed now, the GI condition is small bowel diarrhea, the laxative abuse, and the renal pathologies are basically the renal tubular acidosis. Here the renal fails to basically acidify the urine, that is the renal tubules fails to basically kick out the hydrogen from the blood, hence there occurs accumulation of hydrogen in the blood. That's why. Now let's see how to differentiate between both. That is, the question is how to differentiate between GI and the renal causes of NAGMA, which is very important to understand. Suppose this is a renal tubule, and as we all know that the hydrogen here are basically, they are pumped they are pumped. And how they are pumped? They are actively secreted. Basically, the hydrogen in the renal tubules are basically actively secreted. And at last, how we measure these hydrogens? Basically, these hydrogen which are secreted cannot be lie freely. Hence, there is a major buffer in this collecting tubule, that is NH3, which reacts with hydrogen and forms NH4, and the chloride also combines. Hence, this is what we get. So basically, we measure this chloride, and this chloride is equal to the hydrogen secreted. Hence, we can say the chloride excreted is equal to the hydrogen secreted. Therefore, this relation is important because if the kidneys are normal, you know the hydrogen will be secreted, and since it is acidosis, therefore the hydrogen will be more and more secreted. And as we have studied this relation, that chloride is equal to the hydrogen secreted. What we measure is the chloride, we cannot measure the hydrogen. Hence, the hydrogen secreted is basically chloride excreted. Hence, more hydrogen secreted will be more chloride excreted. Therefore, if we measure this chloride, that is, if we measure the urine anion gap, which is nothing but same, that is measured cations minus measured anions. That is, what is measured cation? That is sodium, and measured anion is chloride. So we can infer from here that if kidneys are functioning normally, then the chloride will be excreted more. Hence, this gap will be the sodium minus chloride. If increased, there will be low anionic gap of urine. Whereas if the kidneys aren't functioning, that is, if the cause is renal, kidneys are not functioning, then the chloride will not be excreted. Hence, the urine anionic gap will be sodium minus chloride, which will be low. Which will be, if this value is low, it will be high. Therefore, we can differentiate here as urine anionic gap. For GI, it will be low. Why low? Because the hydrogen will be more secreted, chloride will be more excreted, and hence the urine anionic gap will be low, whereas here it will be high. Now let's go ahead. Respiration. Now it can be due to, like here, if you see, now anything which prevents this CO2 from going out, basically anything which traps the CO2 inside only causes CO2 retention, and this CO2 causes acidity, and this CO2 is acidic, and if the acid buildups, it causes what? Respiratory acidosis. So the conditions like pneumonia or any lung pathology which causes the CO2 retention or decrease in respiration basically causes respiratory acidosis. There are many causes. One is pneumonia, other is anything which causes decrease in respiratory rate or CO2 entrapment, etc. And the other reason can be basically the thing which is giving the stimulus. If the stimulus is less, then what occurs? The respiratory rate falls. If the stimulus is less, the respiratory rate decreases, hence there is CO2 retention. Now let's go ahead and see what are the causes of metabolic alkalosis. Now, as the name suggests, alkalosis, metabolic alkalosis. Now, the metabolic alkalosis can be due to increase in the bicarb. Let's see the ABG picture first. pH more than 7.45, bicarb more than 28, and in compensation the PaCO2, that is the lungs which are acute acid base balancer, causes retention of the CO2 by decreasing the respiratory rate, that is more than 45. I hope you have seen the relation increase sign, increase, that is ROME. Here the ME relation stands. Now let's see the causes. The causes of metabolic alkalosis. The causes of metabolic alkalosis can be divided into two types. Again, the GI and the renal. Now, in the GI can be understood by this diagram. Now, what here is, as we all know, the stomach generates the acid and in order to digest the food and kill the bacteria. And so, if this acid is somehow neutralized or taken out by the body, then what happens is, in compensation, the body does is it takes the acid or H plus from the blood, and hence there is relative decrease in the H plus ions, causing what we all know is alkalosis. The condition which causes or neutralizes this acid are, the first is vomiting, the other causes can be alkali intake or the antacid abuse. Now coming to the renal causes, again we can understand it with a diagram. This is a nephron. Now what happens here is, it is a filtrate, it comes here, and as we all know, here is the basically DCT and here is the collecting tubules. Now as we all know, here there is a channel called as ENaC, epithelium sodium channel. Basically what it causes is that it, in place of potassium, it takes up the sodium in the presence of what we known as aldosterone. So aldosterone acts here and causes potassium loss and sodium gain, and this potassium and some of this potassium lost here is again gained by the body through another channel which we have discussed, hydrogen potassium exchanger. So basically what it does is it kicks out the hydrogen in place of potassium, hence the potassium is also saved, sodium is saved, and the hydrogen is kicked out. Therefore if there is any condition which causes increase in aldosterone, causes increased hydrogen loss, hence causing alkalosis. So what are the conditions which there is increased aldosterone? We all know Conant's disease. Another disease is basically Cushing syndrome, in which the mineralocorticoid activity also is shown by the steroid, and the exogenous steroid intake. Now another condition which is linked with the renal, that is these channels, is the renal channelopathies. You must have heard somewhere, we will discuss later. That is another cause is renal channelopathies. Okay, so here are the causes of GI, metabolic acidosis, that is GI, and the renal. GI is vomiting and or the alkali intake, and in the renal it is basically the aldosterone increase and the renal channelopathies. Now let's see the respiratory alkalotic part of the respiratory alkalosis. As we all have studied the respiratory acidosis, and we know the basic causes basically maybe in the heart, lungs, or in the brain. Here the cause is basically what we can say in one word is hyperventilation, that is CO2 washout. Hyperventilation. any condition causing this may result into respiratory alkalosis. Any condition. So what are the conditions which causing hyperventilation? This can be two, that is psychogenic or environmental. So psychogenic causes can be like hysteresis, hysteria. It may be acute panic attack, anxiety, etc. And the environmental causes can be like altitude shift, high altitude, or the hypoxia, relative hypoxia in the environment. These are the causes of metabolic or respiratory alkalosis. So you have four parameters, the four important parameters, that is pH, PaCO2, PaO2 and the bicarb. And you have also studied what are the relation between all of them, that is the pH changes causing two things, acidosis and the alkalosis. And the acidosis is again two, metabolic acidosis and the respiratory acidosis, and the alkalosis again into two, metabolic alkalosis and the respiratory alkalosis. The metabolic alkalosis again into two, hugma and the nagma. You have seen the reason for hugma, that is increase unmeasured anions, and nagma as GI and the renal. You differentiated through urinary anionic gap. The respiratory, you have seen both the cause is basically the respiratory rate, that is CO2 elimination. Here the rate is decreased, whereas here the rate is increased. Here there is CO2 retention, here the CO2 loss. You have also seen the metabolic alkalosis, the cause it may be GI or the renal.